So when you are in 7th semester, not attending sessions, right? Okay. Anyway, I mean, job is important, but should have something known also. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Anyway, we'll see. Okay. So we were talking about MongoDB. Um, we were discussing about MongoDB. MongoDB is a NoSQL database. Um, it's it's been designed for huge amount of data. Then it's a document-based database. What do you mean by a document-based database? Anyone can please say what you meant by a document-based database? Other than MongoDB, any other document-based database you are familiar?
XML, sir.
Okay.
Instead of having like a structured format, like in RDBMS, we are storing it as documents, like as key value pairs or something, or in case of XML in terms of tags or something like that.
Understood.
So unstructured data when you have, and when you can represent them as some related documents, then you will go for a document based database, document oriented databases. XML is one example. There we use the concept of tags and attributes similar to other markup languages. Whereas in the key value pair databases, like there are some examples of key value pair databases. So similar to that, an extended version of that is what MongoDB works. And MongoDB is developed using C++. So that adds up extra benefit of any object-oriented programming languages can directly use this database and doesn't require an SQL kind of an interface. So the concept of ODBC is not really required. ODBC, JDBC we have discussed. What exactly is? What ODBC?
So basically, to convert, like translate from when we ask something from the programming language, convert it to something that SQL can understand, and then whatever result is generated after the SQL execution, convert it back to whatever programming language we're using. Like it's like an interface to do all these things.
Yeah, it is basically two different processes running, right? Your application program is one, and your database is another program running. And your database can be queried using SQL. And SQL also is being written using C routines, C functions. So it is eventually from your programming language, you makes a call. So that particular programming language call comes to this interface. It has to convert into SQL queries, and that SQL queries will be internally converted into C functions and gets executed. You retrieve the data or you update the data, whatever it is. If it is retrieving, then the data is being retrieved and then brought as SQL query results or responses. Now that needs to be converted back into that particular programming language syntax. Say suppose if I am working with Java, then that needs to be converted into string objects and that can be processed in the programming language. So this interface which helps these programs to interact with the SQL. So mapping that programming language constraints into SQL is what ODBC was doing. And we spoke about even JDBC also. Like Java thought, okay, they can have a little more easier interface, and then they built something called JDBC, ODBC bridges, and other things, and then started working with that. So that interface is not required if you are working with MongoDB, because MongoDB, an object-oriented programming language, can directly invoke and call things, because this is also written in object oriented and the other side is also you are having object oriented, so there is no mapping required, directly can be used. And scalability is very high. That means not like SQL, where not like RDBMS, where you have maximum entries in a table are kind of restricted and number of tables can be restricted. No such restrictions on the scalability part. Any number of contents, any size contents can be managed. And consistency and partition tolerance is what MongoDB looks into it in CAP theorem. That means across, so if you think about the distributed database architecture with MongoDB, then across multiple sites, even if fragmentation is done and replication is done, the replicated data will be consistent. Okay. And partition tolerance, because since it is replicated, even if one partition fails, others will be able to take it and then get the data. So that's why partition tolerance. Again, we spoke about this, like other than Mongo DB, what are the other combinations? What we can think about it? Key value pair. There are other databases. Column databases are there, and similar kind of things. Okay. This and all we have discussed. Um, these are so many companies which uses MongoDB as a base platform for them. Probably, I think, can think about. I mean, the best examples are of IBIBO is one of common names. I mean, like very famous name which has adopted MongoDB to the core. I mean, they have their basis on that. So similar way, there are many uh, companies which entire database structure is working with MongoDB kind of an architecture. If you see them, you can see many of them are not the typical kind of application oriented database. Sorry, companies like there are companies which works on news, to companies which works on financial sector, companies which works in marketing, companies which do bookings. Everything is there, like tourism, travel teams, marketing teams. So any different kind of a structure, it is easy to manage with MongoDB. So the unstructured behavior of MongoDB is what pushing them to adopt MongoDB by these different types of companies. So the data model, if you look into it, the data model, when I'm saying that is a schema. So the term corresponding to schema in RDBMS, we will say data model. What you mean by a schema in an RDBMS?
So it's a design of the database.
Yes. How you will represent schema?
Using ER diagrams.
ER diagrams. And what information you will fetch from ER diagram? What all things are there in an ER diagram?
So the entity, the attributes, what kind of, like, what are the primary keys, what kind of constraints are there, all those things. Cardinality, everything.
I mean, I have a small doubt. I've taught you operating system and DBMS also. DBMS I mean, handled not many, but operating system I was there in the theory class to teach you. And many names are there whom I know personally that, okay, these people normally used to talk. But surprisingly, nobody is bothered to respond. Just out of my curiosity, I'm asking, what has changed? I mean, why you guys are so silent? I mean, see, the 22 people here, I mean, 21 people here, I mean, all these names are very familiar names to me. Okay. I know you guys personally. I mean, personally, in the sense, I mean, without any introduction, I know these guys. Obviously, I mean, I've been seeing people from last 17 years. So every year, 2 semesters, if you say, that means 34 semesters. And then probably every semester, if I say 2 courses each, that means I might have handled 68 to 70 courses till now, and the 70 into 60. You think about the number of people who have came through the classes where I have handled. But still, I remember most of these names. Out of the 145 people, I think probably another 10-15 names more is what I can remember from your section, both A and B put together. And I know you guys till fourth semester properly. I mean, properly because you were there physically attending the classes. You guys used to interact, respond back. Probably this online mechanism have made you lazy. I don't know, but seriously, I mean, I'm not saying with respect to the classes, but seriously, you guys, please come out of this nutshell of online and then being so boring kind of things. Now, in another 6 months, you will be in some company, or probably before that as Indians. Okay, please come out of this nutshell, because there also there you are going to probably start with the what you call uh, I mean, what you say, not the offline sessions are going to start so immediately. Probably there also will be again online sessions. Please uh, open your mouth and talk. Okay, you show their presence. I mean, show them that you are existing. I mean, these classes, it is fine even if you don't do. See, we have hardly 22 people in this class. There was supposed to be 76. So what about those 54 people? I have to assume that they are also there. They will somehow write the exam and then clear this course. With that belief only, we are good. In this online mode, that is what maximum I can expect positively. Um, okay, so don't worry. I mean, I just my thought came into my mind that what happened to these guys. That's why I was telling all these things. Just leave it. Okay, we'll come back to MongoDB. So if you want to be silent, okay, continue that. I'll not trouble much, but anyway, hardly how many more classes we are going to have it. Um, but still, I would like to see you all guys active in a session at least once before we finish this semester is what my expectations. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the, the schema or the ER diagram, a schema is represented using an ER diagram or an entity, I mean extended entity diagram or something. Um, um, so sorry, I should throw my phone. So that represents, I mean, that will have entities and relationships and attributes. Every entity, what are the entities involved in that particular process system, and what attributes are used to represent that, and then what is the relation between those entities. That can be in terms of which entity to which entity the relationship, what is the name of the relationship, because that relationship is what you are going to convert them into tables, and cardinality of it, like how that they are involving in that, whether it is full participation, whether it is partial participation, whether it is one or one to n or m is to n kind of relations, all those things. So all these informations will be there in the schema. So or ER diagram, and I can say schema, which is the design part of what you call a database. Similar way, that is the case of an RDBML. Similar way, in a MongoDB, the data model is the base of it. Okay, so how will you represent the data model? You need to specify that what is the possible key value pairs you can use, because you look into a MongoDB, it's a collection of what? Documents. And each document consists of one or more number of key value pairs. Okay, say for example, if I have to think about a employee database, then I will be having documents like employee details can be one database. Then employees work experience can be another another document. Employee, I'm just saying with respect to the concept of table. So how many tables you will have? You will have table which consists of information that borrowed the employee has previously worked, what designations, what experience he has got, what skill sets he has got, and other things. There can be another table which says that what is his personal information, personal details, his name, his age, his blood group, and sort of things. There will be another table which talks about his dependents details, so that insurance company or some other sort of things can be working on that. There will be salary related information on another table. Then his project details will be on another table. So like this, multiple tables will be there. Similar way, if I look into MongoDB, there also I will have multiple documents. And what attributes are there in each of these tables, or what fields are there in these tables, I will say what are the key value pairs. So you will be having a key value pair to mention his name, then his age, his blood group, his height, his weight, probably something like that. So that is one document. Like that, another document. So what are the documents you are having? What should be the content of it? That information is what a data model is going to talk about it. Okay. So a collection is like a table in a relational DB. Documents do not have a uniform structure, not to have uniform structure also. Because again, table when you say that is a common architecture. Here that is also not required. You doesn't need to have a common structure for a document also. So your documents can be of different things. I think in the last class, when I was showing a slide, I showed that there are three documents. One of the document contains 6 or 7 key value pairs. And the second document, when you look into it, it is a subset of the key value pairs, what is there in the first document, but with a different value sets. Keys are same, but values are different. And then the third document, when you look into it, certain keys are same, like the first document, but then some other additional keys are there, and then corresponding values are populated into that. So there is no single structure architecture is also required. That is the kind of flexibility what a document-based database is providing. And these documents are represented using JavaScript object notation, or in short, we call it as JSON. So JSON documents. So JSON documents, why it came? Because this is easy for humans to write, read, easy for computers to pass and generate, because it is somewhat similar to an object-oriented structure. So the compilers, what is designed for object-oriented, will be able to easily manage and parse JSON documents. And these objects can be nested. Basically, name value or key value pairs, ordered list of tuples is what your JSON objects are having. And what MongoDB uses is binary encoded serialization of JSON, or I can say BSON. Binary JSON documents are what we are going to use. And what extra compared to JSON is you are having referencing mechanism also. That means I can refer to some other document, say that that particular content also belongs here. Embedded structure reduces need for joins. So when you require joins, when you have two tables and there is a common key you can use to connect them, and then you will use it. So the concept of foreign key we will use, and then we will use, say, for example, employee table contains information about what department he works, what is his age, what is his experience and other things, his name, all those details. What is his department head's name and other things. Another table is having his project details. So which project he handles, what is the condition, or what is the scenario of that, how many are associated with that project, all sort of information. And then you have another third table which contains his salary and other things. Now I can combine all these informations. I can say for a particular employee, what is the department, what is the department boss, and what are the projects he associated and how much salary he draws. I can club these things with the help of join. I can use the employee ID as a common element between these things, and then you can get this. But in case of a MongoDB scenario, inside the objects you can nesting is possible. So you can bring in the other content into this so that you don't require joining operations. Rather, you just have to retrieve from the single document. An example is what is being shown here. First field is an ID field, and then city, some population numbers, state, and then another pair of details are there, or another document called councilman, the details. Okay. Now, the types, what we can think about. I mean, the different based on types, what you can think about is to represent decimal numbers or represent character sequences. Objects will be another instance what you can think about it. Array is there, binary data is there. I think few of the other things are common. You have JavaScript objects, timestamps are there, then regular expressions are there. All these are allowed types available in BSON. Okay, and the ID field, what we have seen in the previous document, that is each document by default will have an ID field. This field is a number of special characteristics. Value serves as a primary key for collection. So the same concept of primary key is available in case of MongoDB also. Each document is identified uniquely with that particular ID value. Okay. Value is unique, immutable, and may be a non-array type. It cannot have multiple values. So that's why it is non-array type, and it is unique. It is immutable. When I say immutable, that means somebody cannot modify that value. For each document, that is a default value what is being provided. Default data type is object ID, which is small, likely unique, fast to generate, and ordered. Sorting on an object ID value is roughly equivalent to sorting on creation time. So if you wanted to sort based on document ID, it will be like when it was created. Based on that, you are sorting, almost equivalent to that, because the ID field is getting created along with the time of creation also. This we have done already, like terms comparisons between MongoDB and SQL. Um, in SQL, you call it as a tuple. Here we call it as a document. Table or view, what you are calling in an SQL, the equivalent in MongoDB is collection. The concept of primary key in SQL can be any attribute of the table, but in MongoDB, it has to be the ID field. Uniform relation schema is what followed, which means that every document or every table you make should have a structure following to that. So if I say there is an employee table, all the tables what we say for that should follow that. Whereas here, uniformity is not required. You can have documents of mixed behavior, nested behavior, and other things. Indexing is there. There also you have the indexing mechanism. Here also you have the indexing mechanism. There you use the concept of joins. Here we use the concept of embedded structure. And SQL is partitioning the data into multiple tables. Here it is sharing the data across documents. I should say shared rather than chart. Okay. Now, whenever it comes to document-oriented databases, and especially with MongoDB kind of a example, we use a term CRUD to say create, read, update, and delete operations. I mean, it is equivalent to your data processing operations on SQL. You have create, alter, delete, drop, select, insert, and update. These different operations what you can perform on an SQL on a relational database. Similar to that, on a MongoDB, it is create, read, update, and delete. In short, we call it as CRUD operations. Okay. Now, we are jumping completely into MongoDB. I want you all to install MongoDB from this particular link. What I can do is I can provide that link. Provide that in the chat. You can choose what type you want. If you are looking for a local database server, then choose the second one, on-premise, and then you can download it. What you are trying to get is MongoDB Enterprise Server. Where you will get a download option. Download that and install it. Okay. I want you all to do that and then follow these other two steps also. Please do it, guys. We will make it ready so that next session we can try working on MongoDB directly. Are you able to download that file?
Yes, sir.
Download and install it. It will take some time to install.
Sir, it's asking install MongoDB as a service or not, sir. Like, what should we give?
Uh, there is a checkbox. I mean, like the option is that only, right?
Yes,
mean,
sir. It's marked already.
Either you select it or not select it, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you don't select it. That will then that will install it as a normal database application, not as a service alone.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Okay. You can install it and then create a data directory, that is in C. You create a directory called data, and then inside that you create another directory called db. That will be our data path. How to start the client and then how to start the server, we will let you know. I mean, like, we'll do it in the next session. So we will wind up at this. You install it and then be ready. Next session, we will start working directly with databases. Like, in the sense, we will create a document, we'll populate some data into it and sort of things. Okay. So be ready with that, and then I have already shared all the details related to what you call for the project. The first part is an abstract submission. What data needs to be there is also mentioned. 70% of the data is coming from your problem statement document, which I have already provided. Little bit extra only you have to add into it. Add that and then make the document ready team wise and submit back. I will be posting a link for submitting those details also. You can use that. Okay, I'll provide that link information, and by when you are supposed to submit that, I'll update you in the post. Okay, so now we are winding up. You can leave the session. Meet in the next class. Okay, thank you. Guys,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.